First, you're going to sew all the way around it except the bottom. Do not sew the bottom part. Well, you sew all the way around it, all the way around except the bottom. And then when you get through with that, you cut the sides so it won't bunch up right here. Just cut a little bit up to the seam right here, just on the corners, on both corners over here. You just cut right here so when you turn it inside out, it won't bunch up. So now it's time to turn it inside out. So hold on just a second. Let me turn it inside out. And now after you turn the inside out, I ironed it down flat so it'd be flat. So after you do that, then we're going to sew back all the way around it again, all the way around the edges again. Just sew all the way around the edges. Don't close the bottom end yet. So I'm gonna sew all the way around and then I'll come back. Okay, after you sew around all the way around again, you're going to come from like about right here where my finger is. I always just come up above the side right here. Let me hold it back up right. Just look on the side right here, and I go straight up and just come about right there, like right here. This is where you're going to start. And then just sew a straight line all the way across right there till you get to the other side about right there. You know, just go straight down, kind of go up and be right there. And then what I do is just stop right there, and then I'll take it and then I'll go down again. I'll go down right below that, thick enough that you can put your elastic through there again. So you want to make it a little bit about like that. I'll show you when I get done how thick it is, and then you can look at it from there. So hold on just a minute. Okay, I just sewed it from here about right there where it starts, and then I went all the way across to right there. And then the top one's right there. I just done it close to the top. So you can see it right there. I see how wide I did it right across there. You can hardly see the white string. It's so hard. But you just do it wide enough to fit your elastic through there. And then next, what you're going to do next is we're going to sew the elastic on both sides of the legs. We're going to start from about right here is where I usually start, about right there. No, close to that curve, right off that curve, just about right off the end of the curve where the curve ends. Start about right there, and then I go all the way down to about right here is where I stop, usually about right there. Or right there, probably about right there. Where I usually stop. And you're going to do both sides that way. And you're going to do one line down, and then you're going to do another one right beside that because you have to run your elastic through there too. You're going to make a little pocket like you did at the top. You're going 2 lines on each side is what you're going to do next. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to sew my 2 lines. Well, it'll be 4 lines when you do double. But I'm going to sew those and I'll be right back. Okay, next I'm going to take my elastic. And I'm going to, at the top, after I sew all my pockets, at the top, I'm going to start from this end over here, where it starts at. And what I do is kind of stretch it a little bit and get it, and see where the other end is over here. Well, let me see. What's been in there? It's about right there like that. And then I know where to cut it. So I usually just stretch it out just a little bit so, so I won't waste too much of it. And, shoot, I can't hold on to it. Just stretch it out like that, and so it'll probably go about right there. So then I cut it right there. That's my top elastic. And then on the sides, I do the same thing. I come on the sides and put it down where it starts, and I go down to the end and stretch it. You can't see my hands. I go down to the end where it's at, kind of stretch it a little bit, not too much right here because we won't have enough to go. And then just cut it about right there. And I'm going to do 2 sides, so I'll just, whatever I cut this one, I'll just cut the same for the other side because this should be the same length. Okay, there's for the other side. Let me put this elastic up. Okay, and then you take a pin, one of your safety pins, And we're going to do this is the top for the top elastic. We're going to put the safety pin in there like that at the top. And we're going to run this through like, just stick it. I don't know if I can get the dang thing. Stick it open, run it through, and then put it up here at the very top. We're going to do the top first. Just run your elastic through there. Just stretch it across there like this. Just keep doing it across there. And you could feel your elastic on the other side. And so mine's right there, my elastic. I almost pulled it over too far. But it's right there. Then I sew it down. You're going to sew it down first. And then I go back, sew it down again, and go back, and then sew it down again. That's the way I do mine. You can't see the sewing machine, but what I did, I just went back and forth 2 times on that. So you want to make sure that you hold it down good and it don't come out, because you're going to be pulling on it. So you want to make sure it's going to be down. Then cut this extra thread off. There's a piece of thread right there. Okay. And so I sewed it right there at the end where it starts, and now I'm going to pull it on across. I got a big safety pin this time. I'm going to have to be careful whenever I'm doing it, but you just pull it on out. I don't know why. It's like it's stuck or something. Okay, there it goes. Then you'll gather it up and you'll pull this thing down until you get it as tight as you want it. But I might have went over that darn thing is, but you'll want to get it like some ruffles in there. I'm going to have to get mine a little bit tighter. I'm going to pull mine through there just a little bit. Let me get mine. And then when you get it to where about how tight you want it, you don't want to do it too tight, just tight. Then you're going to sew it down. I sewed it down. Come back across. Sew it again. Come back. And come back again. That's why it's in there real tight and it's not going to come out. I'm going to cut these strings off. Okay, and there it is right there. And then you take your safety pin out when you get done with that. Gotta take this safety pin out. Okay, there it is. Like that. Not too much, just like that. Okay, and then next, we're going to, instead of doing the sides right now, we're not going to do the sides. We're going to cut that tail hoe first and do the tail hoe before we do the sides. So let me go over here and show you how to cut the tail hoe. I'm going to get my piece. I forgot to give you that little square to let you see how to do the tail hoe, but let me show you. And I'm going to pause it, and then I'll be right back. Okay, what I did is I just cut out this little block, and it lets me know about halfway over, and I knew I was supposed to go up 4.5 inches on mine, and yours will be 6.5 inches. I think it's what we guessed on yours. But mine was just, I only had to go up 4.5 inches because her diaper's so small. And then I had to cut a 3-inch tail hoe for hers. Yours will be a 4-inch tail hoe. But I made this one 4.5 inches up because that's where I start my tail hoe. And this is 3 inches long right here, this pattern. And I just trace along this right here, just from right here up to here is where I just draw a line. See right there. I don't know if you can see the line, but I just drew a line right there. My tail hoe is supposed to be from there to there. And then I'm just going to cut it out. I'm just going to fold it over. Wait, I didn't know it would bend down like that, but my phone, I just now realized. But I'm just going to fold it over like this, right in the middle of that. This is the way I usually do it. And then just start cutting my tail hoe thing. Then after I get my hoe started, then I'll take it out. Know how far to go up, and then okay, now I cut the tail hoe in it. And then I got to show you the other piece that you'll have to cut out too. Hold on just a second. Okay, this is the material that I cut out for my tail hoe. What I do is I cut a piece of pattern so I know how to do it. It's 3 inches long. My material is going to be 3 inches long for my tail hoe. Yours will be 4 inches. Well, yeah, yours will be 4 inches long, and it probably need to come over about this far. I'll tell you how far it is whenever I get off here. I'll measure it and let you know what to cut out. But then after I cut my square out with my material, I take and I turn a piece over and sew and iron it down right like that, and then I'll turn the other side over and iron it down, and I'll leave a gap in the middle about that wide in the middle. See how the middle is? So because next we're gonna take this and we're gonna lay it down right here beside this right here. You lay it down right beside the hoe. I need to cut up just a little bit more because mine, wait, let me see. Mine's a little bit short. Wait, make sure I get it just right. Right there. Let me cut up just a little bit more. Okay. Okay, now I just take it and you're going to line it up like this. And then we're going to go to the sewing machine. And then I'm going to sew down. I'm going to start at my sewing machine. I'm going to sew down all the way down to stop right there. I'm going to stop right there on my sewing machine. And when I get that sewed on my sewing machine, you're going to have 2 of these cut out, one for each side. When I get this, whenever I sew to stop right there, I'm going to lay this one down next, right beside it. And then I'm going to sew straight across to right there. You know, sew it, turn it, and sew it to right there. And then on this one, you sew it up right here like that. Sew it up, and then you go sew it back to end it where you started at, right here. And then you'll be done with that part. And then you'll take and you'll flip this inside, both of them inside, and it folds out on the other side on the back. And then you sew it back around the square on the back. I'll show you on the sewing machine. Let me go over there and get it first. I got the first one on there right now. I just laid it down beside it. This one ain't laid down yet. But you just lay it down right beside your hoe. Put it to right there. And then you're going to start. But then you got to back stitch so you know it don't come out. Dang, I might have went up too far. But anyway. But just sew it down. To right there. And then I'm going to put this one on. Like that. And then I'm going to turn it around like this. Or you can put it on over here on this side. I don't know why I didn't do it on this side. You're going to put it down like that. And then you're going to sew straight across. What I do is I back it up and sew it again just to make it stronger, but we're going to do the other side too. And then you're going to take it up. Let me see if I got it over there. Take it up. And then you're going to sew down this side. Okay, let's see if I got enough far over, if it's going to have to go down some more. Then you're going to take it. Okay, and then you just take it out and cut your thread. Cut your thread, and you'll have it look like that on that. Well, let me turn it around this way. It's gonna look like this, with the two flaps open like that, like that. What you're gonna do is, let me cut my thread off. Hold on. Then you're going to turn it inside out, turn them both in, flip it out. Well, you can pull it in, but you just pull it over like this. You'll have that, and then pull the other side over. And it'll come out like this on the other side. And then what we're going to do is the same thing. Sew down the side, back around here, and then back up. And back right there. That's all we gotta do is close this up, and then you'll have your tail hole like that. So I'm gonna sew that real quick. I'm gonna get my thread up here if I done knocked it out. That was not want to come out with there or something. Okay. Well, I need to go over just a tad more, I think. Yeah, now. Back up one. Okay, that's the end of that. And then it's going to look like this. And you can cut, straighten that up right here on the edges, a little bit, straighten it up. If it's got some ravels or whatever, just trim it a little bit on the ends if you want to. But this is going to be the hardest thing that you're going to do. once you get it figured out and you do several of them, it gets easier and easier and easier every time. But and the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do our elastic on both legs now. So that's what we're doing next. Let me pause it and get my pen and get ready to do my elastic on my leg. Okay, I got both elastics done on both sides now. Both elastics. I put the elastic in, you sew it down, stretch it down to the end where you sewed, and then you sew across the end, and then you take your pin out, you do it on the other side. You go to the other side, sew from the top, bring it down to there, sew it in, and you got the elastic done. The next thing we're going to do is going to close the end up right here. We're going to take and close this in. All you do is take and fold it down. What I usually do when I'm doing when I sew around both of it, when I go all the way around the material, when it's inside out and stuff, I come up maybe a little over half inch right there. So I'll be able to turn this fabric down a little bit easier instead of sewing it all the way to the end. But basically you just turn it, you just gonna do it like this, and I gotta do it a little better than that, but basically you're just gonna close it up, sew it and close it up. But mine, I just gotta sew it. Well, I had it a while ago, but once you start it though, it's easier. But just sew it all the way across, cut it off, and you're done right there. And I'll be right back. Okay, next you're gonna do what I do is right here. I cut this out, and it's gonna be for a strap. So this is material basically right here. I cut it out, and it's gonna be for the strap for where the diaper clips go. And what I do is when I ironed it, I folded it over like that. Then I fold it over again and iron it down. And then I'm just gonna take it in the sewing machine and just sew it. And just sew it straight across. And take it and cut that. And then just cut the strings off of this. Dang it, I'm cutting my dang thing. Okay. And then we'll take this, and it depends on what side. This is going to be my inside, and this is going to be the outside. Let me get these strings off here. But this is going to, what I do is I take it, let me make sure you can see me. Take it and fold that, put a piece there and fold it down. No, whatever, like that. Then I'll put it about where I'm going to put it at. They usually put them right here on the sides. Maybe I'm put it the other way because that's threads on that side. But I'm going to line it up to about right there. Or I might scoot it over a little more, about right here. Well, if I just keep this straight. And then I'm going to sew it across right there. What I do is I do it back, and then I do it back again, and then back one more time, 2 times. So I know it holds it down on the straps. And then let me cut this strings off right here. And then you do the same thing down here. You'll take it and fold it under a little bit, so you'll have that little bit under there, and you'll leave it kind of, you're going to leave it a little up so you can get your belt thing through there like that. Something like that right there should be perfect. And that's about straight. And just stick it under there. Okay, well, you can't see it over here, but there you go. That's you just do that, and then the other one you'll go on the other side and do the same thing over here. Just do the same thing on this side, and I'll pause it. But that's basically all you do is just do it that, and I'll show you in just a second. Then at the end, all you do is just sew your clamp on your straps. You know how to do that. That should be pretty simple. Just fold it over, run it through, fold it over, and sew it both ways, and then you're done. And then you'll have your diaper cover. That's what it's supposed to look like. If you have, but I still gotta give you the measurements of this strap to do your straps right here with, and the little measurement to do your tail hoe with too. So I'll call you with that and tell you what size it is. I hope you can figure this out.